Well, that was anticlimactic. Just ended on us. What's going on with that? All right, welcome back. We're like a minute early, so we'll let people stroll on in here today on the InfoSec Wizard live stream, Thursday live stream. We're going to do technical stuff. We're going to help you level up those skills that you're building so you can get a job. Pretty simple proposition there for you. If you have any questions, hit them up in chat. Let us know where you're stuck so I can help you overcome whatever obstacle that is. And also, other folks that are on the stream as well can point you towards resources that they have found useful. This is a team sport. That is what cybersecurity is all about. The people you work with, beside, and collaborate with. Hopefully, everyone can hear me well. I do want to play a little bit in YouTube today to see if we can level up the stuff we're doing in there. Let me see if I can get that pulled up. I'm trying to get better at the live streaming thing, right? And part of it is doing cooler stuff with it. I don't know what all we can do with it because I never do anything. I use Riverside to do this, and yeah, I'm on the back end doing some stuff here. I might just do a fun one later and just play with it this weekend. Anyways, yes, so what do we have? We have TryHackMe. As promised, we're going to dive into TryHackMe. We had an ask last week to do some Splunk stuff, so we're going to do some Splunk boxes. I'll talk through what I would do as a professional. This is one of my more favorite sims, but I want you to ask questions, and hopefully what we're going to do is help get that mindset straight, so whenever you get in a seat, whenever you're in an interview, you can talk as a professional as if you're already there, because guess what? You have some time behind the wheel. So let's go ahead and get that spun up and get going. Any questions? We'll be checking in the chat today to make sure we are hitting all those questions. I had a couple people tell me that they used a new walkthrough. So there is a walkthrough. If you weren't aware, I dropped a video this week that will walk you through how to set up an Elastic server-ish, right? An Elastic VM that you'll use as your sim. So you'll be forwarding, this will be part of your lab where you're forwarding those logs so you can do some attacks, see what they look like, and play with that. So if you haven't checked that out, hop on the YouTube channel, check out that video, follow through, and get your lab set up so you can play. I'm sitting here talking to the camera and it's not even showing me. Fun stuff. There we go. I'm back. Hello. What's going on, Chad? Welcome back. Welcome back. So, there is a second part of that video coming out potentially next week or the week after, where we'll set up the victim, right? Victim, where you'll be doing all your attacks at, and we'll help you get that integrated with your sim, with your Elastic system, and then you can be free to play. And then we can do some of these live streams where we're talking how to utilize that new lab that you have to practice those skills. So it'll be fun. It will be a good time. What's one of your wins this week, Hamaz? Hamza? Hamza? Is it ham or ham? I bet it's ham. All right, so let's put we got a few people in chat. What do we want to vote for here? Let's do a vote. So here are I did some Splunk searches. Any on here that I haven't done? What do we want to do? We have Vault Typhoon. We have New Hire Old Artifacts. PS Eclipse. We can't do the Azure one because we have to pay for an additional thing. We do have we have Itsy Bitsy. We do have Elk. Here's an Elk one. So what do we want to do here? I'll give you a second to give me a vote in chat. Vote with your keyboard. We'll see what we can get into. I don't know if there are any other ones. I wish they did some better tagging with it, and it would help out a little bit more, but the tagging kind of stinks. But usually in here, it will say Splunk. All right, we'll pick one of them I haven't done if no one wants to vote. All right, we'll go ahead and do this one, the first one we haven't done. We'll join room. Definitely encourage you, if you are watching, if you're at your keyboard right now, start it up. We're in the new hire old artifacts and start following along beside me. Again, this is the only way you're going to get job ready. You got to start doing stuff, got to start using the technology here. Let's go ahead and start this machine. I may have to connect to it. Reconnect to the VPN. I gotta sneeze. Give me a second. I'm back. I'm back. And we'll connect to the VPN just in case. All right, so for those of you who are wondering, because you may have a setup different, I actually hate using the built-in attack machines in TryHackMe, so I use my own VM. So I have a Kali VM. I have the VPN package downloaded, and that's what I'm using to start up over here. That's what you saw on this other screen, is I'm running OpenVPN with that VPN package. That just gives me a little bit more flexibility with the tools that I choose to use. Not to say that you have to do it, but it is an option for you. All right, let's see. Now we need to do port 8000 of whatever our machine is. So this, we can pop over here and give it port 8000. Remember, the colon is where you set your port. Let's see if this lets us. We may have to add secure. I didn't like it. We'll give it a second to start up. Maybe it's just chilling. I've had some issues in the past where it's just being silly. Here we go. So it might have just not been loaded yet. All gravy. If you're new here, leave some questions in the chat. Tell me what you're working on currently. And we will give this a second to start up. I've had some issues with this in the past. Hopefully none of you are having the same issues. Sometimes it's just, it needs some time to finish starting up because there's a bunch of back-end stuff going on. It is just taking a little bit. See, there we go. Now it's working. So if it's not working for you, you're waiting on it, give it a second. It will start up. You should see Splunk Enterprise here. I know the lab that I had you set up is Elastic. This is Splunk. Splunk is my favorite, but they're kind of a pain to get it downloaded to play with. So we use Elastic. But for those of you who are like, well, do I need to learn 50 sims? No, you don't need to learn 50 sims. You need to understand what they're used for, and they're all pretty darn similar. As long as you understand the underlying concepts that we're learning, which is how to follow logs, how to understand what fields are in the logs, you're in good shape. The other stuff you can Google and figure out pretty darn quick, so no stress there. No stress at all. All right, so we're here. We're in Splunk, we're ready to search. The thing we need to do in these lab environments is that we need to switch to all time. And that's just going to bring everything forward because I don't know when the time frame starts. And we may need to also add a star here to say, give me everything. And it will load. Yep, there we go. All right, so we have events here. Now we can start doing our thing, which is to investigate bad stuff. All right, so let's read this a little bit. I usually get a little ahead of myself and don't read, and then we just go on a little bit of a goose chase. Today, we will read, we will do things differently. Let's check this out. It says, we are a SOC analyst for MSSP. Cool. This is probably what a lot of you guys want and gals want to do. Newly acquired customer, Widget LLC, was recently onboarded with a managed Splunk service. Sensors live, all endpoints are now visible. Widget has some concerns with the endpoints in the finance department, especially an endpoint for a recently hired financial analyst. So this is kind of a clue for us. We're going to be focused on the finance department. The concern is that there was a period, so December 2021, so now we have a time frame. Finance department, time frame, December 2021, when the endpoint security product was turned off, but an official investigation was never conducted. Dum dum dum. Your manager has tasked you to sift through the events of widget LLC's Splunk instance to see if there's anything that the customer needs to be alerted on. Happy hunting. All right, so let's do this. So this one did say it took about 2 minutes. How we're going to go through this is we're going to go top to bottom, answer all these questions until we are done. And then we'll find something else to get into. If there's something else you want to do after this, make sure to drop it in the comments and we shall consider it. But let's go ahead and get started. So web browser password viewer executed on the infected machine. What is the name of the binary? So we have a couple of clues. It's a web browser password viewer, and it's going to be in December. So we need to modify our time date stamp potentially. Looks like everything's in December, so we don't really need to do that. But we're looking at this, and this is where you always hear me say, know what you're looking for before you start punching keys here. So a web browser password viewer executed. Keyword there, something was executed. Where did we look? Does anyone in chat know where we would look? What type of log? So you could give me a log, event code. You could tell me a description of the log itself. But where would we find that something's been executed? There are two specific types that are generally associated with things being executed. Do we know? Does anyone know? Give me give me an answer in chat. Let's see if you can figure it out. We'll give it a couple of seconds, see if we have any replies, but we're asking ourselves, how do we find if something has executed on a machine? There's two very, very common ones that we're looking for. It might have to do with a process. Did I give too much away there? Process. A log that has to do with processes. Maybe? Maybe. How about a process creation log? Is anyone familiar with that? Let me show you what I am talking about. So we have a bunch of event codes here. This looks fun, right? This is like a foreign language. But there are typically event types. This will help out. And then there's usually like a category. So just so you know, the way they do their fields are different in every company. But there's usually, this is typically pulled out. So yeah, but what log has the .exe? Where can we see that? That's the question there. So this is sysmon. I'm looking for the category. Image load right here, task category. So this will tell you a little bit about what we're looking for. Image load isn't going to be exactly what we're looking for, but we can start looking at stuff. So we can table out some information here. I'll do time. Let's do task category. And let's do event code. And let's take a peek at these. Actually, I want to do a stats count by real quick. So I want to show you what this looks like here. So right here, this is the task category I was talking about. These are those event code numbers here. So a lot of analysts, after you've been working it for a while, you start to know what these codes are for. And so you can see I did a stats count because it's going to tell me unique instances of where event code and task category are. So that's why we did it that way. And what we're looking for, so we have a lot of nones here, but we can look through these and we can see process creation is the big one here. So there's actually another one. I wasn't aware of 4696. I've never seen those, but process creation is where we can see those EXEs down. Definitely a place we can see them. And there's another one here, 1. So 4688s and 1s are typically where we're going to be able to see those events. So let's actually look into those and see what type of information we can glean from those items. So I think what we'll do is we'll say process create. I'm looking for something in this that we can land on, and we'll just say task category has this in it, and that should help us. So let's say task category equals We'll give it a star. And this should give us a bunch of events. So we have 97 events. So down was saying that EXEs, he's looking for EXEs, things that were executed. And in here, we can see exactly what he's talking about. We can see those EXEs, new process name, among other things. So this is a 4688. So we can see a ton in here. They actually don't have these fields parsed well, which is sad, but that's okay. So right here, so a new process is created. So let's think about it. How are processes created? They're created because you double click something, it spins up a process, it loads that exe or binary into it, then it runs it, whatever it is. That's how these things are created. And so that's typically how a lot of stuff actually operates on the system. A process has to be involved somewhere. That's why these are so powerful. Now, the issue that we have is that the parsing is done very poorly in here. So we have really, really bad stuff. Like these are horrible logs. So we're going to see if we can't get some more information out of these because they weren't done very well. Huh, why is my keyboard doing that? There we go. All right, so let's do event code. So we're going to go down to my favorite ones that are a little bit more detailed. So ones have a ton of detail. Hopefully these are parsed, and these are indeed parsed. So let's look at these. 4688s are an alternative. They weren't done well here, but they typically have a lot of very similar information. So you're probably wondering, how does this help us answer the question of what was executed, which is what we're supposed to find out, right? Let's go back and look at it. It says, what is a web browser password viewer executed on the infected machine? Okay, what is the name of the binary? How do we find that out with all the stuff we're doing? Well, in here, we have all that stuff. We have the command line. That'll show us the command that was run. There's also an image. So this is the file that was executed. So the image that was loaded into the process. And I keep saying it like that because a lot of people don't realize what an image is, but that's really what it is. What was loaded into memory, the image. Then we have parent process or parent image and parent command line. So in case you haven't been on one of these streams, we usually have a happy family of processes. You have a parent process, then you have the baby process, which is just process, notated as process in these logs. And we can build out a family tree of processes through this. So that's why we're looking at these pretty closely. So we'll just go take yeah, you're welcome. So we'll take a look at these, and what we're going to do, and which I encourage you folks to do, is figure out how to extract just that information that's useful for whatever you're doing. So imagine if we had to go through these 185 logs to look for what we wanted. It'd be horrible. And this is very low for a normal environment. If we were in an environment and we did all time, I mean, you're probably looking at trillions of logs. So you need to figure out how to tune this stuff down. And we can do that with some fun logic up in the search bar up here. So we can modify it by tabling our information. So I always add time because I always think about stuff chronologically. Then we'll add hosts because I don't know how many hosts are here, but I'm sure there's probably at least a couple. And then the big ones that we want are parent image. So this is the parent process, and then the image. So let's look at those and see what we have. So look at this. So look how much easier this is for us to read. Isn't this crazy? Before we had 100 and something logs, we had to click through each one of them. Now all I told it to do was, hey, I just want you to show me the specific sets of information that I asked for. That's it. Don't give me all this other junk. And so it did. Now what we're doing is we're looking for something that, what did it say? I already forgot. A web browser password viewer. Web browser password viewer is what we're looking for. So let's see if we can find that in the logs here. And so this is the parent image. This is what we're looking for. And we're looking for something that looks like a browser password viewer, whatever that is. It could be this. I'm not familiar with what this is. These are all normal things typically. Let's look over here. This is odd. This stands out to me as well. But just by itself, here's another one with a randomly generated name. So these are pretty bizarre. I don't see anything that screams browser password viewer. So what we can do is we can pull out some more information, see if that helps us. So we can do parents, command line, and command line. This will give us more context around the stuff that was executed, and maybe it will give us a little bit more insight. So we're looking for something to do with a browser. Something you're going to run into as well in your environments are things that are happening in the background that we don't necessarily see as users. So like the Splunk forwarder thing here, this is something you would typically see. This looks like an install, but this one here, we would typically see stuff where there's a forwarder running something and moving logs about. So we're going to see all these things, scripts running in the background, other tools running in the background. So one of your jobs as an analyst is to say, what's weird? What isn't normal? And you start building that idea of what's normal, what's odd, the longer you work in an organization. So don't be scared. It will get there. All right. So this is quite a bit here. So what we may do is we may, one, start filtering things out, or we will do a stats where we only want to look at unique stuff, because there's lots and lots here. And I'm just looking, what I'm looking for as I'm staring at this is what's going to help me identify whatever this thing is. So like I'm seeing security tools in here. We have Procmon running here. Also, let me know if you're having trouble looking at my screen. I should probably zoom in a little bit. And maybe that'll help you guys out a little bit. I am going to split this into another tab, and I want to do a stats count by again, because there's a lot of stuff here and we need to trim it down. Get rid of this. And stats is just giving us the unique values, and see how it went from 184 to 64. That's going to help us out quite a bit in terms of trimming down our information. Now the trick is going to be, how do we identify whatever this thing is we're supposed to be looking for? And I am imagining it's going to stand out by name. It's going to look familiar. Or it may not, and we'll have to dig a little bit more. Who knows? Fiddler seems interesting to me, but I don't really see anything else. We could probably, and look how it's spawning from Explorer. That's probably because it's being clicked on through Explorer, like through the UI. That's probably why we're seeing it like that. Let's look up what this is. We can do this in Google. I don't think so. I don't know if I've ever used this, but this should tell us what it is. So Fiddler widely used web debugging proxy tool. So this may be it. It doesn't say anything about passwords. A web browser password viewer. So I don't see anything about that. It sounds like it's a proxy, kind of like I was going to say kind of like Burp, but it doesn't look like it's that full. No, I've used Fiddler before. Now that I'm looking at it, I don't remember it accessing passwords though. Interesting. I'm looking here to see FIDLER, maybe? Let's see. I mean, this may be it. Sometimes their descriptions are really bad and it doesn't work and you will go down a rabbit hole. That is not it. So, okay, I didn't think so. And I hate wasting time when they're like that. I hate going down rabbit holes that don't make sense. Let's see. Anything else here? PC, EULA, ST. There may be a description field in these somewhere. So let's change this to verbose. And we can look at event code once and see if there's another field that may give us some more information. I thought there was. We're looking, let's see, product may help us out. We can try product and rule name, see if that helps us out. And if you're wondering what I'm typing here, so over here, just to explain, these are field names. So we can use table and stats count by to pull out the values that are here. So all we need to do is provide the field name. It'll give us the value. So that's all I'm doing. It's not really any magic. It's just a pretty simple way to do stuff. And so now we can see the names of these. And try to start guessing what our password viewer is. So this is pretty common, I would say. Here we go. This might be it here. That you're not going to know everything that you're looking up in the real world. It's never going to happen. There's just too many files. It moves too fast, and you're going to be expected to look stuff up. And we can do that via hashes, which I definitely highly recommend. And we can, because it's a lot more precise, where if we just used a file name like this one, 111111, anything could be called that, right? They could rename a file to anything. So a hash is going to be super unique, and it's based off of the contents of that file, of that binary, whatever you're looking at. Let's scroll through here and see if we see anything else that happens to stand out. So you have Palette Explorer, Unicode. Are there any more pages? Is this it? We can look up Chrome Cookies View. I don't know. Let's add hashes to this. I think hashes should be a field in here as well. Here we go. Some people extract out these specific hashes. Ours did not. So we'll just copy and paste out of here. I can't even talk today, people. It's horrible. So if you haven't seen what a hash is, you probably need to go back to the Security Plus or the entry-level certification. They talk about it in there. A hash is going to be super unique, and you could change a single byte in a file, and it's going to drastically change the hash by what's called a waterfall effect, meaning it just changes everything. Boom. And that's good. That means it makes it very easy to decide when something is off, if something has been modified. It makes our lives quite a bit easier. So let's take this hash and see, because this is a medium box, and I'm trying to decide how deep I need to go down the rabbit hole, because typically on these I go way too deep, and that's not what they're looking for, and then it drives me a little bonkers. And then sometimes they're not as precise as you would expect them to be. Like they may consider this password viewing, or maybe not. I don't think this is it. Nope, that was it. See, that's what I'm talking about. Cookies are not passwords, but whatever. Let's look up what Chrome cookie view is. We can look that up. I just hate spending so much time waiting on stuff, like, or looking into stuff that isn't going to get me anywhere. But we can look through, let's see, alternative. It's just cookies. I don't see anything about passwords. Let's do a search. Be aware that in order to decrypt cookies created when you send, you have to, so that's you having to pull a password. Let's see. Protected. I guess kind of. It's telling you have to use your DPAPI key, which is correct. If you pull cookies out of someone's browser, you have to get their DPAPI key in order to do it. So it's DPAPI. And I'll put that in chat. Has anyone heard of that before? DPAPI. Only know this, excuse me, because I pen test, and I just actually did that on a recent pen test as well, where I just pulled everyone's stored passwords. So you know how, and you probably do it yourself, you store passwords in your browser, and then if someone takes over your system, they can just grab them out of your browser. And it's pretty bad. I actually compromised the network pretty quick like that in a pen test a few years back, where an admin saved their credentials in a browser for a host that was shared by many people in the organization. So I got administrator level access, pulled all the passwords off of the system, and guess what? Now I am the domain administrator and I can do whatever I want on the network. So it is very, very dangerous. Don't recommend storing passwords in your browser whatsoever. But dealer's choice on that one. All right, let's get back to the show. Hello, thanks for joining, folks. What was your win this week? Let us know in the chat. What is listed as the company name? All right, so what we're doing, in case, let me catch you up real quick. We are working on the new hire old artifacts box in TryHackMe. And we're just working our way through these questions. We are working in Splunk, so if you're looking for Splunk experience, we got you. What I am looking for now is that we need a company name, which is right here. So we just need to make sure we're extracting that field as well. So we're going to come up here and add it to our table. Pretty easy. And we're looking for 1111. And that should get us where we want to be. Let's see. Am I blind? I think I'm blind. Let's see. Here it is. Neursoft. And the reason why I searched this instead of just pulling it from the GitHub tab we have there is because it could be notated different, and if we put it in wrong, TryHackMe is going to hate us and not say you got it. So I wanted to do it correctly. So that's why. All right, so third question. Another suspicious binary running from the same folder was executed on the workstation. What was the name of the binary? What is listed as the original file name? So we can use our pretty similar instance or tab here. I'm going to leave it open, so in case we screw something up, we can go back. And the way I'm doing it, I'm just right-clicking and say duplicate. And this is a trick that I use when I'm actually working, is that I do this because I want to keep my other stuff as a reference. I don't want to stay in the same tab, just because I need to be able to pivot, but I need kind of an anchor to do my pivots off of. And that's where this is going to come in handy. So as you can see, like, this indeed is my anchor. And now I need to modify my search. And so what we're looking for is it's saying there's something else in that same directory that is suspicious. So we need to look for things in the same directory here. And so we need to think about, how do we do that? And that's pretty simple, right? We need to filter on the image, and then we can just do a star after temp. and we should be good. So this will pull all these things up, and notice that it kind of screwed up my search, which is fine. We'll fix it in a second. So we'll do a star here, make sure it works. We should see stuff populate. Okay, cool. And then we're going to grab all of this stuff. So it did not grab. Uh-oh, I hit the wrong button. I let off control too quick. All right, here we go. And I just posted in the stats count by stuff, and what we're looking for is another product here. And see how this says it's the same file name, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but both of them don't have the same product name, and the hash is in fact different, so that's odd. And it's asking us, what is the name of the binary? What is listed as the original file name? So we need to get the original file name. I know that this is another field. And I'm going to zoom in so everyone can see what I'm talking about when I'm talking. Welcome to the stream. If you're just joining us, let us know what your wins are. We are in Splunk. So enjoy the journey. All right, we need to find the original file name field. So that's this here. So we can take this, add it to our search, and I did them out of order there. And I'll put it right here besides product. Again, we're just taking the field name, putting it in here and say Splunk. I just want to see the values in the field name. And, well, we're not seeing anything in the field name. Nothing yet. So maybe they don't mean in this exact directory. Because I'm looking at this and I'm seeing what is listed at format, blah, 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 blah. So I'm not seeing this. We're looking in the same folder. There's nothing else there. So we may need to peel the onion back and go a little bit further. So maybe it's not temp. Well, it's not that one either. Ah, I know what we did. We had nurse off, so we messed ourselves up here. Here we go. All right, so that was a mistake for me. Somehow we got a value up there. It could have been from a copy and paste accident, sad face, but that's fine. All right, we're looking for another suspicious file name. So to me, I'm looking at this. I'm always thinking of ways I can filter. We have 15 here. We got some that are empty. That's fine. This is our other one. This is Procmon, so that's probably not it. This may be bad. I don't know. But I think this is what we're looking for. Igor Pavlov. But it does match what they were saying. Although I think there was a comma in their answer. So it looks like there's another suspicious file. What is the name of the binary? What is listed as the original file name? So we can throw this in here. This looks like it's 7-zip to me, to be honest. I don't think it's suspicious, but we'll look and just double check that. Because, I mean, it could be. Again, this is me trying to play interpreter for someone who created this lab. So this looks like it may be something bad. Okay, let's see what it comes up for. Detections, adware, Trojan. So this could be it. So it's asking for the name of the binary and then the original file name. We can grab that if I can get this thing to go over. There we go. So now we want this, and then we have that other one there, and this should give us the answer. That is not correct. Another suspicious binary, same folder. Let's make sure it's in the right format. There's no space, so maybe that's where it got jacked up. Let's give it a go. So this is not what they're looking for, although it is very suspicious. We're looking at something with an original file name, so we can filter on that and get rid of some of this noise by just saying this equals star. And what this says is, hey, only show me the results where there's a value actually in original file name, or I probably spelled it wrong. These are case sensitive, so that's why it didn't show up. And it did not work the way I thought it was going to work. Let's see. We could say maybe that might actually be a value in there. So we can say, and this might work for us. There we go. All right. So we have another one here. So we have this share folder thing. And notice how much noise we removed by just modifying our filters. It only left us with 4. This makes it much, much easier for us to check things out and identify bad. And that's really the crux of our job as an analyst, is removing the noise and focusing on the important things here, which we've done. So it's probably this other one here, actually, the sharefolder.exe, and then Boderbella, whatever that is. As you can tell, I am amazing at pronouncing stuff. I'm amazing at it. I'll put that on my resume. All right, here we go. Let's try this one. So the other one was sketchy, but this one is probably just more sketchy or not. Name of the binary is that. What is listed as the original file name? So it doesn't like this one either. These would both catch my attention as an analyst 100%. So I don't know what it's looking for here. Maybe there's another field and we're not pulling out the correct information. Let's see if there's a file name field. There is not. It is image. Just double checking. It's asking for file name, which should be image. Just seeing if there's something else in here. So does not look to be the case. So it should be file name that they're looking for. But it's not liking what our guess is. Any viewers have a guess of what we should be looking at? It's saying it's in the same folder as from the same folder was executed on the workstation. So it's running from the same one as this, which is temp, which is what we're filtered on. So this matches correctly. And we have to have a file name. So all these should match up. We can try Procmon, but it doesn't look like that's the answer. So we've tried 7-zip. We've tried this one. This is the only one, but it's asking for specific like executable. So if we look at it, it's saying, are these pretty similar in size? Let me get a notepad out here. This is all from last week. Did anyone watch the stream from last week? There's some good stuff in there. We had a little bit of fun. All right, so what I'm doing is me quasi-cheating. Just doing this because I just want to compare to see if I'm missing something. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Interesting. So, I mean, it's pretty darn close. I'm doing this to check my formatting because it could be literally something as simple as my formatting being off, and that would just be absolutely annoying. But you never know. Let's do this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So unless I miscounted, that doesn't match our counts. It's saying it wants original file name and file name. So this is the parent image. So maybe it wants this instead, but it shouldn't be. Because this is what's running. I'm going to buy a val on this because I don't know what the heck it wants. Pass should include username in long format. In a long name format. I don't know what it's saying. Interesting. It's kind of annoying. Let's see. It was executed in same folder. What was the name of the binary? What is listed as the original file name? So maybe they're looking for a different field, but it shows it with an extension there, which is confusing. I am going to cheat because I hate wasting time on stupid stuff. Let's see what they say. Please don't make me log in. So we're in the same correct folder. I'm looking at image. So we have these out. Finance. That's what they mean by long. So, okay. So what's happening here is we see the truncated version, the short format of the username here. That's why we see the little squiggly there. I forget what it's called. It's not a tilde. But this is the longer version of that. So if we include both, we should see a different file. So we could simply do, we could do an or. There's a couple of different ways we can do this, but we want to include both options. So we can say or, and then we can just copy. We'll copy this, but we will replace it with the correct path. So 1 second. So we'll just modify this. That's what I'm doing here. We're just modifying slightly. And we'll take it from right here. So we're just going to take this username. And there's a whole, there's a way that Windows calculates this. It's pretty interesting. Something to definitely look up if you would like to better understand it. It's pretty interesting. So definitely recommend. So let's see if it works. And it did. So we do have one more thing here. And this is what we missed. So see this, how the directory is different under image? That's why we missed it. So there you go. So we need to change file name. Silly stuff, I'm telling you. We were in the right place, just silly, silly stuff. All right, what is the name of the binary? So this is the original file name. And the image. This is the other piece we need. And we'll hit check. This should give us what we need. So what they say, don't hate the player, hate the game. I mean, this is silly stuff. Definitely not worth wasting time on, but there we go. I definitely encourage you to focus on understanding the like the syntax in Splunk more than anything on these. And then the other stuff is just fun to do as well. I have to sneeze again. Y'all guys are making me, I'm allergic to streaming tonight. Ooh, there we go. If you're just joining us, put one of your wins from this week in chat. Share it with the community. We're all good. We want some wins, even if they're not our own. We'll take them. All right. Question number 4. The binary from the previous question made 2 outbound connections to a malicious IP. What was the IP address? Enter answer in a defang format. Okay, so a couple of things to unpack here. So we need to look for connections related to that previous image. So this guy, iconic large.exe. Again, we should be thinking ahead. What logs do I need to get to find that information? A lot of people, when they hear network connections, they're immediately thinking routers, networking equipment. In some cases, yes, but in this case, the connection is from a process on a Windows host, and guess what? We actually have logs for that, and they're in something called event code 3's network connection logs, and we'll see the image, we'll see the source and destination IP as well in those logs, and that should give us the answer we're looking for here. All right. Hopefully everyone is following along. There are no dumb questions. You're pretty much anonymous on the internet, so don't be afraid to ask questions. I won't go look down your username and trace you down and say that was a dumb question. I am literally here to help you get better at doing this type of stuff. So let me ask questions in chat. That's what we're here for today. All right, again, we want to keep our previous information as an anchor in case we need to go back and reference stuff. Now we need to modify how we're looking for things. So we want to change this to 3 because I know that's the event code that we're looking for. And we did it earlier here. So we can look for, we can sort it by event code. And they're in reverse order. Here we go. We have 3s, and look at this. It says network connection detected. Oh, now I got hiccups. I am full of random things tonight. So this is what we want to look at. All right, so we need to just make sure that we are, everything else is going to match here. So this original file name we're probably going to remove. I don't think those are in event code 3s. And what we're going to have to change what information we're getting here. So we're probably, we can keep that. We can get rid of that. We don't want any of this information, but we do want, I think, destination IP. And it is case sensitive. I think that's what we're looking for. 2 outbound connections to a malicious IP. What is the IP address? Okay. So that is what we want. The other thing we want to do is we probably need to change our image to match this instead. So we can do that. We just need to make sure we escape these backslashes. So backslashes by themselves are escape characters. This is a funky topic here, meaning just treat what's coming after it as a normal letter. And so we have to escape the escape in that we're saying, hey, just look at this as a regular backslash. Don't look at it as trying to make it look at the next thing. So it's kind of funny, right? So if we took this off, this slash is just saying, look at the U as a U, right? And if I add a backslash, this backslash is saying, look at this backslash as a backslash, and then read these other characters, look at the next thing as a backslash. Otherwise, it's not going to do what we want. We have to escape special characters. And this is a really funky topic, but it is very important to understand. If you're doing any offensive stuff, you need to learn how to do that as well. Because you're going to have to escape stuff in the command line and the terminals, all those things, because because special characters are everywhere. I mean, that's why encoding exists actually, right? With web browsers is because if you don't encode, it's going to interpret something in a wrong way and it's not going to work out. All right, so what happened a second ago is none of those fields were correct. So nothing came out, which is fine. So I removed them so we could look at the logs and we'll extract whatever whatever values we want to. That's what we're looking at now. So one is we need to get destination IP. That's number one. So there are 87 events. So we can do a stats count by if we just want to count them. And that might give us everything we want because it's all we're getting is the destination that this thing reached out to. And that should be all we need. I don't think it needs a port. I don't think anything else is relevant to us. Let's just make sure this will work. Let's see. Oh, there's a bunch of IPs. Man, that's not fun. So now we have to figure out which ones are actually important to us. This one we obviously don't care about, 127.0.0.1. That's loopback. That's not an external IP. But these other ones look interesting. Let's go change to verbose mode and we can flip back and forth as we need to. But yeah, we need to make sure. Well, one, we need to see if we can narrow down the results a little bit for us. So 443, 80. There is an 8888, which is an odd port. Maybe that's what it's trying to point us to. It made 2 outbound connections to a malicious IP. What is the IP address? So it's saying there should only be 2, which is interesting. Let's look at our stats and see if any of these have a count of 2. And they do right here. So this is actually probably it. So what I'm talking about is here. So what the stats count by does is it does a count of every event. So remember, each one of these things is a single event, right? Each one of these. And it's saying, hey, every event with this destination IP, let's count it. There's only one. How many of the loopback? There's 79. So it's counting each time that occurs in an event. And that's where we got the count of 2 here. So this is a case where we probably need redirections a little closer and we'll be able to get it. And I'm wrong, even though it matches exactly what they said. Let's see, the binary from the previous question made 2 outbound connections to a malicious IP. What is the IP? Oh, we have to do it in a defanged format. So it probably wants us to... Typically we do stuff like put these in like brackets like this. It may be expecting a different. Nope, that was it. Okay. So defanged. So the reason why, and I'm trying to make sure you folks have information about what's considered best practices. So we defang things in the cybersecurity space so that folks don't accidentally click on the IPs and trigger a connection, right? We don't want to let the bad guys know that we've identified them, we're doing stuff. It'll tip our hand and they may take more destructive actions. They may pivot. It may make our job more difficult. So we defang stuff. Even binaries, right? A lot of times we'll change extensions so that you don't accidentally double click maybe a malicious executable and run it on your system as an analyst and create chaos. So we do stuff such as defanging to protect ourselves from inevitable accidents because we're humans. We're not machines, which is a wonderful thing. At least we're not machines for another few years, maybe. All right. I'm missing my adult beverage tonight. Sad face. All right. The next question. Let's move on to the next question. Feel free, folks, if you're just joining, drop questions, comments, whatever in the chat. Feel free to chit chat. We are here to provide information to make you better, help you get what you need to be a professional, right? Help you get across the line, right? Whatever that hump is in your way so that we can get you a job. All right. So this one says the same binary made some changes to the registry key. What is the key path? So this one's interesting. There should be some events specifically for the registry if they're recording them. Remember, not every event is going to be exported into Splunk. It gets very, very expensive when we start getting into the thousands. So usually organizations are super selective about what they're forwarding. There are other ways to see this information, but we'll go with the simplest first, and that is there an event for the registry? And there should be. We can look back here and I just saw it too. Darn it. Let's sort by this and let's see if we can find registry. Should be in the R's for registry, maybe. Here we go. And registry object added or deleted, registry value set. So let's see, is it going to be value added or value set? Made some changes to a registry key. So this could be a value set. So we're probably going to want to search for the image, and I'm not familiar with these. I haven't really had these logs in most organizations I've worked in. Or at least when I've been doing the technical stuff anyways. Let's see. And so we're going to want to, we don't need all of this necessarily anymore, but we do need to find the number that we need to change this to. And we can do that by saying, following our clue, so value set, this is going to be event code 13. So let's change this to 13. We're going to get rid of all this stats count by stuff, and we're going to see if this works. If it works, we're in the game, and it does. So we have a bunch of cool stuff. We have information. What we're doing again is we're looking at these logs to see if there's anything we can extract. There's only 9 of them. So we still may want to do that. We're looking at registry stuff here, and we're probably going to want to take out the target object. So what are they modifying? And let's see, is there a thing for the value that they're actually setting? Does anyone see that in here? I don't. So details, maybe it's in details. We can look over here. So here's the details. These are the fields over here, and we can look and kind of utilize this to help guide us what we want to look at. So here's our image. We know it's modifying stuff. This is a set value. It looks like they all have that. But we can utilize this to kind of trim down on the junk we have to listen to. So the message is the big, like, bulky message. And target object, here we go. So disable anti-spyware. It did quite a bit. It looks like it's doing some modification of things. And while we're looking at that, I forgot what we were looking for. The same binary made some changes to a registry key. What was the key path? So this is tough because we see that it has made quite a few changes. What I do want to do is duplicate this, and we'll look at the other registry rule set here. So we did 13. Let's do 12. Let's see if 12 does anything else different for us. We may get something a little bit better. So there's only a couple events here. Let's see what's in it. So we got a process GUID, registry value added or changed. We have a target object. Let's see if this target object is the same. Nope, it's different. So this is tough. So it's made quite a few modifications here. So this one's created a key. So event type, create key, event type for, so they're both create keys. So This is where it's confusing, where what is it you want from me? So it made some changes. It doesn't say it added, it says it's modified. So we might have to go with this other one because it's a modification, but the question is which one is it? I also don't see the target value. We should see right where it's a space in between whatever the path is. So it's the first part. So this is that path we're seeing, but we should also see the actual key in the log somewhere. And it may be in a different one. We can see the type of value it's modifying, but not the actual value. So this one is set value. Am I missing it? Am I just moving too fast? Interesting. Yeah, I don't see it here. My nose is running now. Jeez. And the other place we could see some of the similar information is in the process creation logs where we see the command that actually runs. If it's utilizing an API, we're not going to see it. If it's using a regular command, we will see it. So this is the downside. Let's give it a go. We'll do ones. We'll use the same image. And we'll see what we get. What we're looking for is command line here. So we just see command line running. This should actually be parent image, because this should be running the command if it's in here. I'm not saying it is, but it's worth a shot to check. I'm looking for command line. Do you see command line? Parent command line, where is regular command line? Here it is. And we don't see it. Sad face. All right, so we have a couple of problems here. We don't know where it's at, but it's likely here somewhere. So this could be just a name where there's a space in it instead of the actual like full thing. I might have been wrong about that. So when we're looking at it, it could be this. So let's look at target object, this table target object, and see if that brings anything to light. And we're going to add table. That's the function we actually want to run. All right, so let's see what we got. And nothing stands out for what we're looking for. Sad. If you're just joining us, we are going through the wonders of TryHackMe and trying to understand what they want from us. I don't know. I'm looking, excuse me. I'm looking to see if it tells us anything about the data. I mean, it kind of makes sense that it leaves the data off, kind of, but it is not helping. We can cheat again because I hate wasting time. Hello, hello. So that's, it's looking for just that beginning piece. That's annoying. So what it's looking at here, so again, we're in the right place. It's just lack of, so this is what was super annoying. So they're just looking for this piece here, a portion of it. The fun stuff. Look at that, look at that. Hello, sunglasses. Hello, hello. All right, some processes were killed and the associated binaries were deleted. What were the names of the two binaries? Processes were killed and associated binaries were deleted. So I don't know what logs would tell us this except for the process creation logs where we see the command actually being run to kill a process. But there may be a log for this, and we can look to see if we have that. So this could be it here, process terminated. These would be 5. So we can check those out. I've never looked at those before. Some processes were killed and the associated binaries were deleted. What were the names? So let's go take a peek and see if we can find these. We'll change this to a 5. I don't know what's going to be in these. I've never seen these again, but we'll explore them together. If you've seen this before, holler in chat. Tell us, yep, I've seen these. And maybe you can guide us through this. So we process terminated. And here's the message. So this message is pretty short, but we do have that image. So we could extract that. And that's pretty much it. What did it say? What's our hint here? Some processes were killed and the associated binaries were deleted. What were the names of the 2 binaries? Okay. So we could just pull out the image here. And that should help us out. So what's this last part though? User, desktop. So let's just table images. And we need to make sure we keep that pipe in there, table image. Let's see what we get. There's a ton of them. And this is the one we saw before. So this is that suspicious one. No surprise. Here's a calculator. There looks like there's a bunch of stuff here. Now, there should be, it said they were also deleted. So maybe there's a file delete log here as well. Let's see, file creation, file delete archived, file delete. So let's look up 23s and see what we can get with that. Let's say 23. And we may have to do some funky stuff here where we want to merge values, so we could do like a sub search. There is a such thing as a sub search. Target file, so okay. So here's an image, here's a target file. So we want image and target file. We probably want to see both of these. Let's do that. That sounds like a plan. So we'll say table, image, and target file. So we have a bunch of stuff here. What we can do is, instead of doing it that way exactly, because look, we have 236 events, that's pretty noisy. We can use our stats count by again. The only problem when we use stats count by is we can't do any time stuff with it. And I don't know why it's not giving us stats count by. I may have not, let me see. I may have done the target file name is probably wrong. So here we go. Stats count by target file name. There we go. And we forgot the by. It is after work, folks. Give me a break. No results again. Interesting. Sorry, we want verbose. Let's see why it's... Oh, that's why. Because it's not fully camel case. File name is one word by itself. There we go. All right, so we have 63 events where there's a unique target file name. Let's do the same for image. So let's change this to stats count by image. We have 40 events here. So tons and tons of stuff. Now we have to figure out how to get down to what it's looking for. Some processes were killed and the associated binaries were deleted. What were the names of the 2 binaries? So there's 2 binaries that we're looking for here. This is probably one of them. So remember, this is 5. I already forget which one's which. So 5 is going to be process terminated. So we're looking for terminated processes, and then the other one is, this is where the file deletions occur. So this is file deletion. So we're looking to see if file 1 was both stopped and deleted. So here's 1.1. So that was in fact stopped, and we saw it deleted. Now let's look to see if any of these other ones were. So really, we should only see them deleted once, potentially, unless they reinstalled them, right? So here's this other one. So Boulder Bella, let's see if that was stopped and deleted. Did we see that anywhere? Can we, well, I guess sorting wouldn't help. Here's one. So it could be, that could be it. We could also try using Google's AI to see if it can help us out. See, Splunk query to do a sub search. What we can do is we can dive deeper into AI mode and see if it can help us build this out. So I want a search that, let's see, looks in event code 23, looks for image in event 23, event code 23, and identifies those who have a corresponding event code 5. Let's see if it works. Cool. Yeah, that looks, we might not need computer, but it looks pretty similar. We'll keep our previous searches. Let's see what we have here. Search. So the issue that we're going to have here, index this, search sysmon, these indexes probably don't exist, and most normal people probably use indexes. And we just need to tweak this to match what we have. Fields, image. Let's see, one has image, the other has, event code 23 has target file name. Let's help it out here. Event code 23 uses target file name. That will be the image in event code 5. Let's see if it modifies. This should change the way it's searching. All right, so it did modify our search a little bit. So this is a little bit fun. I've actually never done it quite like this, but that's okay. So stats count by this. There we go. All right, so our search works. So this is a little bit probably fancier than we want it to be. Probably a little bit fancier, but that's okay. Hopefully we got what we wanted, which is that we're seeing the only problem I'm looking at here is that these aren't quite lining up the way I expected. So we're doing a stats count by image target file name, but these targets, the image should match the target file name if it should. It could be the original image that's doing the targeting of the file. This could be the one that's actually doing the file deletion, potentially. My brain's not working enough for me to look at it and think logically. But we could also have AI talk to us here. Let's see, renaming inside the sub-search, rename image as target file name. So this passes a list of file names back to the main search rather than images, allowing the filter to align with the main search schema. And it says where the target file name matches one of the terminated process. So basically they're doing renaming to get it to work, essentially. So we're getting image from one of them. So event code 5s, we're getting the image and renaming it as target file name, which is then utilized to feed event code 23, essentially. And event code 23, we're getting both the image and target file name here. So the question is, what was deleted? That is a really good question. It doesn't, I don't think we've gotten a good answer yet. I don't think that's got helped us out much. I need to, something feels off about it though. I don't know about you, but something does feel off. Let's see, process terminated. So count image. So we would want images terminated, then we want to see if that file was deleted. So let's look at this query again to see if it's doing. So we want search event code 5. That is the image. We're going to name it as target file name. And then we're in search 23. This is file deleted. This is where you need to draw stuff out sometimes. 23 is the deleted logs, where we want to see what is deleted, which makes sense. Okay, so it should be, so image is the one that's doing the deletion, and okay. Just trying to logic through it in my mind to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing here. So some processes were killed and associated binaries were deleted. What were the names of the 2 binaries? So there are obviously more than 2 binaries. There's a bunch here. And the question is, I don't know which, because there's a lot of suspicious stuff here. Procmon is not suspicious. I mean, I didn't look up the hash, but potentially not. But we know this is for sure suspicious. So it could be both of these. I don't know. Or it could be the install.exe, right? But we know all of these should have had a process terminated and file deleted. So this is a tough one. This is where it's not as clear cut. As we would like, but we do see where the files do have a pretty long name, and we might be able to use that to help us, or maybe not. This has a really long name. Is that it? There's no space in it. This one is a pretty annoying lab. I will say that. I will say this is a pretty annoying lab. It's so annoying because it's not, like, the questions don't make sense. Let's see. I'm going to cheat again because I'm being super lazy here. We did that one. Some processes were killed. The answer is search with a hint after clicking command line field. Oh, so we are looking for the actual command line. Again, this is me going about it in a really, really difficult way. Sure, you got to see some fun Splunk foo here. All right, so let's do it the easy way. that they're doing a command event code here. Now we need to table, and we want to see, probably don't even need to see time. What we probably just want to see is command line. And I was trying to think if I want to do a stats of the command line, because I figured there were going to be a bunch, or if we just wanted to do a dedupe, which we could do either one. And what we're looking for are where files were, again, where we actually see the commands that the files were, not the files were deleted, but we see the process stopped and then the files deleted. And that is something that you could do in the command line. And let's take a peek, see if we see any of that here. These are creation of scheduled tasks. We're looking, and this is me cruising quickly, so chances are I may miss stuff, and then we'll have to come back and go look for it. Let's see, 4 files, namespace, WMX. This is a pretty long one. It might be in here. We'll come back to that if we do. Again, we're looking for a process being stopped and then the file being deleted. So we should see a delete somewhere in here. I'm gonna do a stats count by, because I'm going cross-eyed here, trying to look at it. I don't know about you. I'm gonna zoom in for you, actually. Please let me know. I am kind of zoomed in. We'll zoom in even more. How about that? So we have 132 we need to look through now, but we should be able to see, the problem is I don't know if it's in the command line or in a PowerShell, but we should see like a delete in here. So this is kind of like whatever the find and seek puzzle here. We're looking where blah 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 blah. We're looking for a delete, force true. This looks like it's just doing something with WMX and targeting defend. Here's the task kill. So here we go. This is what we're looking for. Command.exe, task kill, and then erase. Task kill, delete. So these should be the 2 files we're looking for here. And they kind of line up with what we were seeing, where they were pretty lengthy. And what's interesting is that we didn't see any of this show up in our funky query that we did. And you're probably wondering why. I don't know. Some things don't show up in logs for whatever reason. And this is a good reason why it's good to have your lab and play around with things like this. Try it, right? Run delete, run process, and see if we're getting those. We should have, but again, for whatever reason, they're not showing up in here. Who knows? But this is definitely one of those things that do pop up in the real world where we don't see stuff, and it's not always that the attacker removed it, which that's a possibility. Could just be however they did it didn't show up in the logs, and that's just how it is. Like there's certain commands, like if you did a dir when you're in the command line, it's not going to show up as a process create, because a process wasn't needed to be created to run that. You were already in a command shell, you ran it, it's being run in that current process, so we're not going to see something. So that's listing the directories. You could run type, that's also not going to show up in a process create, because of just the way it's being executed. It's a functionality of the process that's already running. That is probably super confusing. But there's a lot of type of commands that are just that. They're not going to run. And that's okay. Let's see. All right, just check in chat, make sure we're good. All right, let's see if we can't wrap this bad boy up. We're about 30 minutes till the end. I haven't seen any resumes, so we won't be doing any resumes tonight. Yeah, just keep asking questions if there are any questions, and we'll get to those before the end. Let's see. All right, the attacker ran several commands within a PowerShell session to change the behavior of Windows Defender. What was the last command executed in a series of similar commands? So, again, this is one of those things, PowerShell, we could see some of it in process creation logs, but there are also 4103s and 4104s that would also have similar information. So let's start with the easiest one. Let's start with ones. So we do see PowerShell here. Maybe it's this one. I don't know. It could be that one. Let's see. What was the last command executed in a series of similar commands? So we're looking for actual PowerShell command. We could say this. I think this would be it unless they want the full command /C, which we can look to see. I don't think so. That was it. Okay, that's what they wanted. So basically this is a huge script being run, and we can see the and. So it's saying do this, then this, then this, and this is just the last of the series. So that's what I was looking for. This is probably the easiest answer we've gotten tonight. All right, based on your previous answer, what was the 4 IDs set by the attacker? Answer them in order of execution. 4 IDs. Hey, Harem, welcome back. How has your week been going? All right, we're also looking for IDs in here, and we need to do them in order. So I see 1 ID. I see 2. I see 3, 4. Okay, so let's, well, we might not need this. Let's just do them in order here. So we'll start with 1. This is a silly question. And then we'll go to 2. All right, we're cruising, we're almost done with this lab. Hang in there. Harem's going to tell us how his week is going. He's going to make our day bright because he has done some cool stuff this week. The world rests on your shoulders, Harem. All right, I guess we could have got them from above too. I see up here where they were ran in order. So actually I want to show that in order because this is fun. This is something people don't realize. So let's do this. All right, so check this out. So we're going to do a table, and then I'm going to make sure we'll do a search for Wimic so that we can see this. So let's change this. I want to show you something fun. Table, we need to do time. Command line. I'm going to just do a keyword search here, and this will drive Splunk people a little bit crazy. That's okay. All right, so check this out. So what I wanted to show you was that how some commands that are big chunky commands like this one with all these ands, how it actually runs in sequential order, right? This is how we piece a puzzle together. So here, this is pretty much, you can see someone running this big command. Boom, I'm just dropping it in my command shell. And then each one of these are running one after another as it evaluates this command. Like this is a long command. This is 4 files. So it's an iterative type of command. And then we see stuff executing one after another. So it's saying 4 files this. And then, excuse me, I actually see the command here. And then we see this smaller command here, the actual PowerShell. And then we actually see Wimic running. And then we're doing it again over and over and over until it's done with 4 files. But this is what's happening in the background. It actually can um, kind of unroll, and we would see that in PowerShell. So very similar stuff would happen in PowerShell, in the PowerShell logs itself, and we can actually look at that real quick. So we can say 4104. I almost didn't make it to the mute button. I was going to show you 4104s, but we didn't get any. Because it would show something similar. 4104s have to be enabled. It doesn't appear that they are, but we would see something very similar to this. So I just wanted to show that this is what's happening. It's reading it logically like it's a program, because it's essentially what it is, like a really mini program. So just keep that in mind there. All right, a couple more to go here. Another malicious binary was executed on the infected workstation with another app data location. What is the full path? All right, so another app data location. We can get rid of that. I don't think we need any of these. Close tabs to the right. We'll get rid of those. And we could probably get rid of this. We're looking for a different app data location. So we can get rid of that one, even though that was a fun little search. Get rid of that. We'll get rid of that. We're just cleaning up our junk here. So we can do event code ones again, probably, where, let's see, we want to, how do we want to, it says a different app data location. So we can say where it's, this does not equal this. And we can add another one where we can say, and it's going to be looking like this. This should work if my brain's working correctly. This should say, essentially, we don't want user finance 01, but we do want a user's app data location. And this should work, I think. 179 events, that's a lot of events. We will need to table this information again. Underscore table, we'll do image, command line. So we're looking for a different user data location. We also want to make sure, so it didn't work the way we thought it was going to work. Oh, no, it has to be, let's see. That did not work. Let's try that instead. I thought you used to be able to, that's what I thought. Okay, you used to be able to do wildcards there. Don't look at the views. All right, here we go. We'll go back to tabling our information, command line. And we want to also exclude this one because remember this is the short form of it, and so we can say this, we can put it in an or like that, and we'll need to add this. Just going to tweak it a little bit. We got to close out our quotes here, and we're going to have to escape again. And then we'll add a star here. And that should narrow us down a little bit more. Did not. This, so image does not equal to that, or image does not equal that. This is annoying because I want it to work. Maybe we need to escape that. I don't know why it's not liking this. I thought it might have to do something with this being a special character, but I don't think that's it. So finance, app data, we could just say not that. No, but still don't like that. Oh, we need an and here. Jeez. It's just bad logic on my part. There we go. I don't, let's see if this works. Now we're getting this. My logic is, there we go. We just got to add that there. There we go. All right. Our filter is working. So we should be good here. I see we got some stuff in chat. I had a question. I was looking at SecOps Analyst 1 job opening. I am not applying, but I am just searching. There are minimum qualifications as familiarity with SIM tools. Would that be Splunk? Splunk is for sure one of them. Elk is another one as well, Harem. So either one would work. Really, more than likely, again, I'm not them, but what I would be looking for is that you're familiar with using it to search different types of logs, looking for information, filtering, the type of stuff we were doing tonight, and the type of stuff we do on most streams. But that's why they're asking for it. And I will tell you, from my decades of experience, teaching a sim takes quite a bit of time to do. So if we're hiring people with that exposure already, it's going to make our lives so much easier because you're coming in with that. So that's probably why they're looking for it. Yeah, I mean, any other specific questions about the qualifications in there that you would like answered? Let's see, what was the full path to the binary? So this should be the full path. This looks highly suspicious, but this does not match here, so I am suspicious that that is not correct. That's very annoying because it matches. It matches very much. A different user data location. Maybe it's not saying a different user. Maybe it is saying it wants, it's a different location for the same user, perhaps. So we can modify this. You know, and this isn't a, well, this is a failure of mine, but it's more of me failing to interpret their instructions because they're really annoying. These are very, very annoying instructions. So basically, we're looking for somewhere that's not local temp. So let's see if we can find somewhere that's not local temp. Do we see anything that's not local temp? And we can modify this. It could just be app data. Let's say anything that's not and this is really bad logic, but it'll be okay. It will be okay, folks. We're going to add this to here and say that we don't want it to look here. and we'll add this over here. But we want to exclude them, so we'll add a not. All right, so this didn't work as expected because we're still getting stuff. So it says, or image does not equal C users, finance one, app data, local temp. We're still getting it, and it's probably because these are interfering with each other. Hey, Bayram. Yeah, what you want to know about my opinion on the market? What about it? While I figure out my life right here. What do I want to say? So it should be image equals that, but we want to exclude some stuff. Bayram says, I have 5+ years experience, have been applying, but got very less interviews after 200, got around 2 or 3. What do you mean about after 200? So you have 5+ years experience, have been applying, but got very less interviews after 200. Yeah, could you just clarify a little bit there for me? I will be more than happy to give you my opinion on what's going on with the job market. A lot of stuff. So wow. Let's look. Let's just take this off. And maybe we do a stats. Stats counts by image. There we go. All right, let's see what we got. After 200 job applications, wow, that is a ton of applications. So it depends, right? It could be your resume is not looking. Were you one of the ones that sent your resume in last week? We did 2 resume roasts last week. I'm looking through the Discord channel right now and trying to see if you were one of the ones in there. If you hadn't, happy to look at it. So Cam was one, my robot arms was the other. I don't know if that's you. It could be a lot of things. It could be a lot. It could be your resume is not speaking directly to whatever the job is, right? Because we could be throwing our application in at 200 places, but if our resume isn't in alignment with what they're asking for, it's going to be tough. So, like for instance, we had some jobs open at my current workplace, and we had people putting in tons of applications, and it didn't make sense, right? We said you had to be a U.S. citizen, and people were applying from all kind of other countries. You're going to get denied off the bat. We're not even going to look at you because that is a hard minimum requirement. If you aren't meeting those minimum requirements, you're not likely to get a callback. So there could be something there. If you're missing a good chunk of the want to haves, that could also be hurting you. I would definitely love to see some of these, and this could be something we work on one evening, Bayram, where you give me some of the jobs, some of the links to the jobs that you're applying for. You give me your resume, and we can look and dissect and try to understand what the hiring managers are seeing in your resume and why it maybe not lining up to the job listing that they have out there. Because that's what we have to do. We have to kind of put ourselves in their mindset and do the best we can in interpreting what they're looking for. And it's not always going to be precise because there is a difference between the HR person and the hiring manager. You have to get through the HR person first, then it gets into the hiring manager's hand, and then they have to say yes before they interview you. It is, and sometimes it's the third one in there where you have to get through AI, then HR, then the hiring manager. So there's a whole flow. Not today. I am tired of working in a few minutes. But next Thursday, we certainly can throw all that information into Discord and we can get to it. I'm just exhausted. I've been up for a really, really long time today and I am ready to relax. But I would love to help you, just not today. Is this about the time that you get on generally? Or do you are you on earlier? Because I think you're one of the ones that typically pop on a little bit later. Um, if you are, I can hold it till a little bit later in the stream so that you have time to hop in there and chat and do all the things. Because I definitely want to help you. I definitely want to make sure you're on while we're going through it because it's for you. So I want to make sure you have what you need. Yeah, so definitely hop in there, give me your information. Let's get you a job. Are you looking in any location specific? Are you looking for remote only? Are you looking for specific countries only? Tell me a little bit more while you're in chat, while you're with us today. And I need to add an hour because I want to finish this, but I'm hoping to finish this in a few minutes. User, blah, 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 app data. It should be a longer app data. Yes. Thank you. It has been an exhausting day for me, unfortunately, but that's okay. We'll get you in so we can get you a job. So here's this fun thing. So it's saying a different one. So we're not in temp. This isn't in temp, but there's multiple ones not in temp. You're in Canada, no specific locations, open to relocation. Okay. That's definitely going to help for sure. So we'll dig in and see what we can find. I'm sure there's probably just something that we can shore up. It's usually nothing crazy, I would say. Not generally. All right. What is the full path to the binary? Another app data location. Another app data. So it's not that one. It's not that one. This is the one from the original one. Maybe this is so annoying. This one, I don't know what it wants. So it's obviously none of these. So it's saying a different app data location. We were in temp before, so it's definitely not any of those. Finance, app data, local. It's not this one because it's too long. Maybe this one. My brain is shot. I can't even think anymore. That's how bad we are today. All right, I am gonna see what they want on this because whoever wrote this one is very annoying. Their stuff does not make sense to me. And which is bad because it's probably will be very difficult to make sense to you. Let's see, easy calc is what they're looking for. And that is, we saw it. So this is the location they're looking for. Womp womp. They don't have any spaces in it though. What a bunch of punks. Look at that. There's no spaces. It doesn't look like it matches. Oh, that's not it. What are they talking about? Let's see. Finance app data. It's saying that one, but easycalc.exe. Oh, that's the license agreement. Why is EasyCalc not showing up here? Do we see it? All right, let's easy calc. Let's see. Here's the license agreement to it, but there should be a normal one somewhere. What is going on here? We are in the correct field for sure. Event code 1, stats count by image. Why are we not seeing it? Wonder if it shows up here in one of these other ones. Blah, 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 event code 1, image. So we shouldn't be excluding it. Like there's no way it should be excluded. Just based on the very, very loose search query we have. But it also may be in a different log. They could be looking in 4688's index open. Nope, they're looking in sysmon. That is bizarre. Let's see, image equals star. And let's do, oh, here it is right here. Look at that. I wonder what log this is. So this is showing up, it's not in ones. Interesting. So for whatever reason, that's why we weren't seeing it. It's not in ones. So ones, it's saying it was a malicious process, which means it should, or a malicious binary was executed. It should be in ones, and yet it's not. So another goofy thing with this box, for sure. Interesting. What were the DLLs that were loaded from the binary from the previous question? So there is a specific log for DLL loads. There is. And let's see if we can sort it. This is the last one. We have 4 minutes. Let's see if we can get it knocked out. Image load. It's likely an image load. Let's see if we can do sevens. We'll do event code 7. And it should show. We want image loaded is what we're looking for. And the reason why is that's where the DLLs are. So this is the image. These are the images loaded. DLLs are considered images. And so we just want to table 66 events. That's a lot of events. So table, we'll do time, image loaded. This should give us what we want. And there's a lot of duplicates. How do we remove those? We can just do stats, count by, and that should give us what we need. But why is this still showing up? Finite 0. It's because the time is in there. Time gets you if you don't take it out when you're moving from a table to not a table. All right, so it wants DLLs. How many DLLs is it looking for here? What were the DLLs that were loaded from the binary from the previous question? It wants the answers in alphabetical order. So there should be 3. I think we have more than 3, sadly. So all of them are being loaded by calc. This is Windows Defender. We won't worry about that one. We won't worry about these last ones, but we do have all of these DLLs, which is going to be annoying. Because again, I don't know what he wants, so we'll cheat. How many does he want? Start with binary name and see how many events are related, and the question is about loading image, so we click image loaded from the field. And he's got 11 values, but he has a lot less here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got 4, even though they call out 3. Oh man. So he's not counting that one. So he's got 1, 2, 3. So these are the three they're looking for. Why are we getting more? Let's get rid of this. I wonder why. Let's see, event code. We got the correct event code. Image loaded. We still have more. Operational system unlock. We should get that. Easy calc.exe. We're getting more than they are. And there's just something goofy between our query and theirs. I'm not sure why. So we definitely have a lot more. So it's maybe we can just type in what they have. I don't know why. We're definitely showing a lot more being loaded than they are. So it should be NWELF, FF, MPEG, and NW. So we have NW, NWELF, FMMPG. So now it just wants these in alphabetical order. I've done a lot of cheating this evening. I'm ashamed at myself, but I'm also not ashamed because it's annoying and I'm tired. So it's all good. What they say, don't hate the player, hate the game. So we'll hate the game tonight. We will hate the game. So now we have to do this in alphabetical order. Question is it in alphabetical order? It should be. It is. Check it off. We will call that a wrap. All right, everyone. So that is a wrap for this evening. We are going to do some resume roasting and help Bayram hopefully get his resume and get him some more interviews. Help him find some happiness there in the application arena. It sounds like it's very frustrating. 200 apps with very few interviews. That is very frustrating. But we will hopefully get you straight next week. Make sure to get that stuff to me ahead of time so that I can have it prepared and ready for the stream. And we'll get you locked in there. If you're not part of the community, join the community. We have one where you can drop your resume. You can talk to folks. We had some really good conversation this week. Cam was getting involved. We roasted his resume last week, but lots of good stuff going on. Lots of good people in there to answer questions. So do that. And with that, everyone have a good week, happy hacking, and best of luck out there landing that first or second cybersecurity role. Bye, everyone.